What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Dungeon Defenders 2. We are here in Chaos 10, the Molten Citadel, and today I wanted to kind of give a little test of what was discussed on stream the other day when the question came up of what is the worst defense in the game. Now, that's a tough one to answer, and I think as far as just naming one, I think everyone is going to have a different opinion. There's going to be several common ones that come up. We're going to take a look at what was the most common one from Stream Chat anyway, and that was the Hailstorm Tower. The Hailstorm Tower has been reworked. It's not just a flying defense anymore. Also hits ground enemies, also does ice damage. So you're going to be able to get that freeze combo off of it if you combine it with a little drench. And that comes down to what you use for the shards. Now, we are here to kind of give this a test. I do want to give it a fair test, though. So we'll give it everything that we would give any other defense out there. So let's start off with some meaty walls. We're using the Werewolf Commander, Juggernaut, Automation, and Rebounding Strike. Let's get those in throughout, right at the top of the stairs here. Of course, we're going to need to give these walls some reflect beams, so let's get those reflect beams in place. And see exactly what we have left over. I'm not sure how the DU is going to work out. I think we're going to be able to use three per lane, and then they're also, the path, their targeting area is so large, I think we'll get a lot of added value out of them hitting multiple lanes. Like, you see we've got some shots that are sneaking in over into that lane over there. So I think that will be a very strong possibility that we get a little double dipping out of them. And, like I said, I want to give these guys every opportunity to shine as possible out there. We're going to want to give them some boost auras. Let's see. One deadly boost star is not going to get it, so let's just go ahead and throw down two. We'll just put one there and then one there, and that should easily cover everything. And then, we've got enough left for some destructive pylon as well. I've got that on my reflect beams right now, so let's just go ahead and do it something like that to get a little added value out of the reflect beam as well, as a reflect. Let's see, and what does that leave us? That leaves us 90 left, which I think, combined with ice damage, it might be a little bit of a no-brainer to try to add in some drench. So let's go ahead and grab our initiate. We'll throw down some water auras. This one has got anti-heal and tenacity. This is my reflect beam relic, basically. I'm using deadly and vicious to get as much range as possible. I have destruction on there as the third shard. But the reason being is I just was unsure what to do. Not sure exactly what I wanted there. Could have went with more rate to overcap them, as we do have all the frost mobs here. However, I don't think we're really gonna need it. We'll leave the destruction in there. Now we've got 400 DU left, so we can get an upgrade on nearly all of them. Let's see. We'll get these three. That leaves me enough for one more. We'll just hit this one. So we got one guy left unupgraded. Let's go ahead and see how it goes. Now, this tower is a single target defense. Now, with that in mind, it does put out respectable DPS. It's nothing to write home and tell mom about, but it is doing enough DPS to kill enemies. The issue with it, I think, is its single target. And although, I hate to say it, I wouldn't really disagree if anyone chose this tower as thinking this is the worst tower in the game. But it's not the worst tower in the game because it's necessarily bad. It's the worst tower in the game because it just doesn't compare to the other defenses. So just about everything else in the game is going to outclass it. And I think a big part of that comes from just that single target and locking on to the enemies. So if you're in a situation where you've got multiple mobs in a pack, it's just going to be a little bit of a challenge to burn them all out. Now, you see we're getting lots of freezes here. We got ice cubes going all over the place. However, you know, we've got those Chieftain, of course, which are just going to have that Ice Cube walk right on up the stair. Now, as the Frost Orcs die, of course, the frozen status thins out a little bit and becomes not as much of an issue as far as our defenses itself. But let's see how it holds through the course of the map. Now, I'm actually curious, too. You know, I don't think it would be a fair comparison to drop, like, a dragon down in the middle of this to compare the numbers directly, as the dragon's just going to have the opportunity to hit all 3 lanes, and it's doing the AoE damage. So, I mean, it would be a no contest. The dragon would just blow it out of the water as far as damage done through the course of the map. However, I am curious where it would stand versus something else, like, say, maybe a cannonball or a poison dart tower. Right now, the poison with the poison dart tower is a little bit over the top, so I don't think that would be necessarily be a hugely fair comparison. But, you know, like I said, I'm just not going to disagree with saying this is the worst defense in the game. In my opinion, I think it just might be. It's something that you just never really see used anywhere. Of course, in Chaos 10, we have the walls plus anything else meta. So, I mean, I have no doubt that I'm going to be able to clear this map. These are going to clear the map. They're going to get the job done. As just following walls plus anything else, it's really one of the best things they added into Chaos 10, is giving us the opportunity to diversify builds a little bit and kind of use whatever defense you want to use. These guys a little out of range? Not really sure whether or not targeting them. You'd think those would have been in range. I guess they're maybe right on the cusp of it. They're pretty darn close. Alright, let's see. Let's go ahead and give them even upgrades throughout. So we'll get that one upgraded. We got 8 more upgrades. So actually, we'll just do the same thing. We'll leave one of those slightly behind here. I could probably find 16 mana somewhere. So I'm not really seeing any land. So let's go ahead and work on through to wave number 2 here. And then we'll look at some numbers. Now, this Water Aura, you know, Water Aura is a great utility defense. It's not necessarily a great main damaging defense. Obviously, I don't have it set up as a main damaging defense as well, using it for the anti-heal and the drench with the big range on it. However, I am curious to see an AoE defense like the Water Aura, how it will hold up. Now, I think the Hailstorm will blow it away. I do think it will. So that would make you wonder, well, I mean, let's see if that's true first, I guess, before I start jumping to conclusions. But if the Hailstorm does blow it away, it would make you think, why wouldn't the Water Aura be the worst defense in the game? And it's because it's not always about damage. You know, it's about the utility, and Water Aura brings such massive utility into the game. Just with the innate drench, throwing like an anti-heal on it, you get the drench and the anti-heal, basically, you know, for free. Just really, really easy to blanket coverage everything out there that comes up the lane. But as far as burning through these mobs, it's not an overwhelming amount of buildup so far. So, I mean, we haven't seen like a mass of enemies at the wall. Did I speak too soon? Here comes a pretty healthy group right here. Let's see how this one works out. I mean, they're getting kills. You know, is it just screaming out and clearing the lane? Well, no, it's not. But it is killing things. I mean, there is stuff dying. There's just no doubt about it. Now, I've got this Hailstorm set up with Power Transfer as the 3rd shard to get a little higher crit chance. You see, I'm an 82% chance to crit now, which, you know, is debatable whether or not that's the right setup to use. I threw it in there just because I was unsure what I wanted to use as the 3rd. I don't feel like the power-specific shards for the Hailstorm, you know, mixed emotions on those. I personally thought I was going to get better results with that Power Transfer, and that's why I'm going with that. Now, there is a build-up, but it's not at the walls. The build-up is because the range mobs are stacking up back there and not letting anything through. The Hailstorm is, I mean, it's doing good. But once again, we are in Chaos 10 Expeditions, which, of course, is walls plus anything else. So with that in mind, the hailstorm does qualify as anything else, no doubt. Let's take a look at it after 2 waves here and see where everything sits. Grab up all we can. Now, first off, look at this. Okay, this water R has done 166 million. This one's done 96. And that one's done 137. So, let's just stick with the 160 million. And what have these done? 761 million. 644. 650. These may not have as much, huh? Yeah, 824. They're putting it out too. 453 on that one. 593. So, I mean, the hailstorms are doing a considerable amount of damage in comparison to the water aura. The water or aura, of course, is hitting up to 10 enemies at a time. So it's hitting nearly everything there. But it's not set up for big damage. So, once again, I've got it set up like this. So, I've got the Piercer Servo in there, of course, and then Anti-Melee as my anti-mod. With defense rate. Now, you don't need a 10 out of 10 defense rate mod on this one. And then I'm using Destruction, Mass Destruction, and Power Transfer. So, I think there's some playing room on that 3rd shard slot. Is Power Transfer the right one? Probably not. Maybe so. I didn't do any math. I just kind of thought that Power Transfer might do a better job for me. Let's see. Let's just throw a few more upgrades in. Looking at the comparative damage, they're just blowing away the water aura. And once again, although it's not a water aura that's set up for damage, it is just hitting a lot of mobs. So, not terrible, just not glorious. Let's go ahead and jump on forward to wave number 5 and see how this looks with, a lot of this stuff fully upgraded. All right, and here we go into wave number 5. No real issues at all. I did help out on the bosses, of course, and just kind of let the hailstorms handle all the packs. How do we have everything? We're full up there. Looks like we won't have enough to get everything fully upgraded. But we're close. So let's go ahead and let the 5th wave run, and then we'll take a look at some damage numbers again. Now, like I said, I think it's pretty fair saying this is the worst defense in the game. I really do. However, I mean, if you really wanted to use them, I think you could. Assuming that you're doing, taking advantage of a drench somewhere. Of course, you could try even using Water Elemental directly on that as that 3rd shard, which would allow you to place, 2 more and then have a little bit of DU left over. But I mean, I think it's usable as a main defense. It's not going to be as good as literally anything else in the game. But it does have a little bit of a coolness factor and a little bit of fun factor to it. So if you like to use it, I think you can, as far as just grinding expeditions or like pre 800 or 900 or maybe even 950 in Onslaught. I can't see this one lasting too far in survival, just because, with the selection of mobs and the quantity of mobs, you're going to get overrun pretty quick, I believe. But as far as playing with expeditions, I think it's a quite usable tower. That being said, I still think it's real fair to say this is the worst defense in the game. Flamethrower was another one that was brought up. I personally feel like the Flamethrower is definitely, personally, I think it's higher tier than the Hailstorm is. Just the utility of it being able to, it's AoE and it's going to hit up to 10 targets at a time. Just with that alone, I think it makes it outshine the Hailstorm Tower. However, that was another popular option as well. Now, what do you think is the worst defense in the game? Now, of course, I'm talking about damage-dealing defenses. Which one is the worst? The best we know is all kind of situational, depending on what you're doing. But worst is normally a little universal. So, which one do you think it is? Is it the Hailstorm Tower? I think that's fair. I don't think it's the flamethrower, personally. But I'm not really sure what else would even come into consideration. The Huntress, although you don't see her traps used quite regularly outside of Onslaught mode, explosive traps are crazy powerful. Geyser traps are crazy powerful. Blaze balloons, crazy powerful. All that stuff is just super, super strong. You know, you don't see a lot of cannons or ballistas get used. However, I think I don't even think it's arguable that a cannon or a ballista would outshine the Hailstorm Tower. The ballista, of course, has the pierce as well, which goes through and hits multiple enemies. So it kind of remedies some of the AoE problem. The flame burst version of the flamethrower, I personally think is better than the flamethrower. So I don't think I would lump that one into that conversation. But let's take a look at the numbers after this one once it's all done. See exactly what they put out in the course of this map. Of course, we're comparing it to a utility water aura, which is not quite a fair comparison. We can even compare it to the damage dealt from the Werewolf Commander. 290. In fact, did the Werewolf Commander do more than the water aura? No, okay, I was going to say that'd be a little embarrassing. But the Werewolf Commander did not do more than the water aura. So, or actually, yeah, it did. All right, so yeah, it's not even remotely a fair comparison looking at these water auras compared to, you know, the Hailstorm set up for damage. The water auras aren't. So that's just not even remotely a fair comparison. I mean, Zerker got wrecked. But these Hex Throwers are not going to come out. They're causing a roadblock there. Let's just go ahead and mow the rest of these guys down. And then we'll see exactly what these Hailstorms were able to dish out here. Let's check it out. 1.7 billion damage done on that one. 1.5. 1.6. 2.2 on that one. That one had a little overlap into one another lane, I'm assuming. 2.1, 1.5. It seems like the ones that had potential to overlap with another lane all hit the 2 billion mark. The others around 1.5 or so. I mean, not terrible, right? Not terrible. So does the Hailstorm's performance on this map take it out of the conversation for worst defense in the game? I don't think it does. I really don't. But I do think you can use it if you want to use it. It can easily get outclassed by lots of other stuff. There's no doubt about it. But if you're not caring about that and you're putting fun first and you like using the Hailstorm Towers, by all means, let them spray. In fact, that's actually why I named my Adept Pebbles. It's specifically because of the Hailstorm Tower. So I'd like to use it more. Will I use it more? Probably not. But I think that option is there, particularly in Chaos 10 Expeditions, for just farming and playing through the game. But that will do it for now. Thanks an absolute ton for watching, and I will see ya next time around. Take it easy.